Yeah, I'm good to go. Oh, sorry about that. Hey, welcome back everybody to the NRG series trial here in Fort Wayne. My name is Auterhoff Dawson. I'm joined by Julian Knab. We are going into round 5 of our event here today, the team trial event here, and we're playing 3 formats: Modern, Pioneer, and Legacy. The winner of this round, this is a big round because it'll determine maybe our first team that is able to double draw into the top 8 here, and I'm pretty excited. We have 2 very powerful teams headed by some equally powerful mages. On one side, we have, I believe, Shea Strausman playing our modern feature match, which is going to be Hammer. And then on the other side, we have Dominick Paolercio, who is AKA Karate Dom, playing an interesting take on 4-color control featuring Modern's next hippo menace, if you will, Karuga. That's going to be pretty interesting here. Julian, have you seen any of these 2 decks in action before?
Well, it's been quite a while since I've seen Karuga in action, even though, like, how can you not love a dinosaur hippo, right? Kama, very much a classic, but this one, it's labeled 4-color control in here. I know that it's been a thing in Modern every once in a while, but I haven't really seen it pull off the whole thing that it's trying to do. So I'm actually excited to see how it's actually going to perform against Hammer.
Okay, my audio may have cut out for just a second here. Maybe my headset is actually dying, but what I'm seeing right now is that both players are mulliganing to 6, shuffling up right now. Let's cut to the feature match area, and maybe we can get a little idea of what the players are drawing into right now. As we see on the left-hand side here, we have, Piper Powell. Oh, wow. Okay, powerful mages indeed. Piper Powell, Skyler, Warfield, Shea Strausman all on the left, and then Hayden, Auterhoff, Thomas Loraas, and Dominick Paolercio on the right here. So, Azorius Hammer against 4-color control. Julian, walk me through this. Who do you think is ahead right now?
Well, I know better than to doubt Hammer. Like, Hammer, just when you look at it, you feel like, oh, beat down, whatever, we're up against control. Yeah, probably control's gonna take it. But I've seen Hammer come back from, like, not ideal positions in the mid game to really just take it before control can ever unload the end game. And especially with this version of control that I'm not as familiar with, I would give it to Hammer just because, yeah, oh my god, that's another great card, right? Even though I guess a lot of the cards that the control deck is trying to use to control the game and like Solitude and Fury are not creatures, so we won't really be able to draw the extra cards from there. But yeah, dude, I'm just like, I have so much respect for Hammer that I would put it ahead in most matchups that I see it in, especially, and I would guess Piper Powell is very, very confident with this deck in the hands of somebody who knows what they are doing. So yeah, Esper Sentinel gets in.
Okay, it looks like... Sorry, I'm just checking here. Production, are you able to hear me?
I'm able to hear you, but
okay,
I'm not production.
All right. I do not see Julian just now. Maybe that's why it went so silent. But I guess I'm just going to go into the match right now here and just keep talking. So Azorius Hammer against 4-color control here. Looks like we have an early Esper Sentinel here with an Urza Saga as well. On the other side, I do believe Karuga, you can see it on the top of your screen there, revealed. And this is like the new companion. We've seen an interesting adaptation to the modern version of this deck after the banning in Yorion. Karuga, the Macro Sage, and the kicker here is that this card requires you to have permanence. I believe, no, sorry, the companion restriction is that you have to have CMC 3 or higher spells and lands, and so this is a little bit of an interesting deck building restriction here. But then the deck adapts to having a variety of very expensive spells we've already seen before, like Omnath, Solitude, Fury, but now we're also playing Teferi, Risen Reef, and then I think the interesting cards are Fable, Leyline Binding, and then Touch the Spirit Realm. We don't have access to Prismatic Ending, so that does make deck building construction a little bit tricky.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that we can't really play here, and of course, we're trying to work around that, or Thomas is, that is, with split cards like Fire Ice or Phyrexian mana cards and Dismember. Touch the Spirit Realm can also be cycled for kind of like a flicker effect. That's a lot of work to make Karuga work. I'm not sure if this is the matchup where you're like super happy about Karuga. It's probably like more of somewhat more drawn out games, but I could be wrong on this. And Hammer is, right now just sitting back, generating some advantage with the construct tokens. and waiting for Thomas to ever have any kind of reaction to that. You already mentioned the Elementalist, right, and Fury and Solitude, which will be able to eventually be hardcast and clear most of the board, but especially in Fury's case, those constructs, they might grow out of Fury's size in the first place. So let's see what happens here. I guess this could be a removal spell from Thomas.
Okay, I am back. Sorry, in full force. I can hear Julian's beautiful voice now, and apologies for that.
Welcome back.
Yeah. Foil Misty Rainforest going to the graveyard now to fetch a Triumph. Julian, 20 points if you can tell me the names of each of those cards in the mana base on the right side of the screen.
I will have to settle for 19 points then.
Okay.
I've resigned myself to whenever I see a land on a deck list and I literally don't know what it means, I already know it's a Tri-Home. It's just like the way it works.
Yeah. I mean, the Triumph artwork kind of cool. On the other side of the board here, looks like there's Urza Saga tutoring up something like a Shadow Spear, and in addition to the constructs and the Esper Sentinel, now we've got a reasonable board state here with very low investment of resources, right? Like the Urza Saga. I mean, it's just that absurd of a card here, and also waiting in the wings, you have that copy of Inkmoth Nexus. So a lot of potential angles for attack here from the Hammer side of things. And what's following up here? Is that a Memnite?
Yeah. Basically growing the constructs. And we're just getting in for a bunch of damage here. So one thing about from a more macro strategic level, Thomas has a lot of cards that would require you to pitch something like in Solitude or Fury. And Hammer, I would even say, is okay with that, right? If you Solitude or constructs at some point in the game, that's such a big win for Piper, just like card economy wise. Oh, and is that a basic beta planes?
Nice.
I want to believe, dude. I want to believe. But yeah, we got Sea Shepherd's Gift. Gonna grab, I would guess, a Hammer. Shadow Spear already in play. Are there actually any other ones that we might want to get here? Nettlecyst, I guess, could be it. Ultra Complete in there as well. Okay. Did you see what was grabbed?
I did not. Sorry, I was just focusing on Touch the Spirit Realm because this is kind of a cool card. We saw how I got rid of the Urza Saga construct. But I think it was through the channel ability because we had the tap land in play. And also I noticed I mean, it's an enchantment, doesn't have flash, so I have to assume that it's the last ability there. If anyone's wondering, the channel ability, discard Touch of the Spirit Realm to exile target artifact or creature, return to the battlefield on the next end step. But constructs are tokens. They don't come back here. Some pretty powerful stuff here as we're going to untap here for the 4-color side of things. And 4 mana, that can only mean one thing. Is it time for a big locust of multicolor variety?
Oh man, that card's just like so good. I remember. I would imagine like when they came up with the card, they were like, and if you get another land drop, and they were like one-upping each other. And if you get another land drop, then we're gonna put this ability in. I wonder what they would have done if they had added like yet another one. Like I think it triggers for like 3 lands coming into play. What if the 4th land comes into play? Just like draw your deck or something.
Yeah. No. The game just explodes. GG, you win. You broke magic. It's over. No more.
If it's the 4th time this ability is triggered, like GG, just straight up GG. Okay, we see Fury coming in here now, pitching Fire Ice, and looks like it's gonna take out the entire board. Dude, triple kill.
I like that, yeah. Oh, wow. Ooh, okay. I like that a lot. Yeah. And you can see Omnath also come down into play now, too. So this is an incredible position here for the 4-color side of things. The board is now stable. And honestly, it's going to be so hard for Piper to come back from this, I think. But, Piper, one of the players that we saw showed off in our qualified players for the end of your championship. And if there's any player who can come back from this, it's definitely Piper Powell. So I am looking forward to see how this game plays out here. Nettlecyst coming into play here. There's a Germ token as well. How many enchantments and artifacts are in play? Let's see if I can count properly. That's 1, 2. I did it. Nice.
Very, very good, Anorak. Awesome. So we got 2 hammers in play, and I think the last card, I'm not sure. Oh, okay. So that's a card complete. Is that actually? Chat told me there was another list, but that's in play. Okay, perfect. So this is equipment galore. I guess a way to come back would be to get, let's say, a Cigarras 8, and then we put our Inkmoth Nexus out there and immediately equip the hammer next to it. I mean, that's already wishing for a lot, but that could be a path to victory, assuming that Thomas isn't able to interact. But if you're as far behind as Piper is right now, you basically have to play towards the scenarios, right, where your opponent just like can't stop you, and you gotta draw what you can. Memnite, not the most exciting thing to draw. We're gonna put it on Nettlecist. It has quite the size. So how big is it? No, it's my turn, right? We got 3. Oh, never mind.
Yeah, the correct
Never
answer
mind.
is doesn't matter. As we're blinking the Omnath to draw another card and touch the Spirit Realm, just looking so cool here. I don't know if it's great, but so far it's gotten rid of an Urza Saga construct, and it's also been able to cycle itself to do cool things with Omnath. What's really interesting to me too is that it has good synergy with like elementals as well. So if you have like Fury, for example, that you're
Ooh.
evoking and you want to flicker that, much like Ephemerate, here's where Touch the Spirit Realm will do a lot of work. The downside, obviously, is just like Ephemerate. If a creature gets removed from play, like you're down a couple cards here. But the upside is that at least the floor on a card like Touch the Spirit Realm is really good because the Oblivion Ring effect is still quite powerful.
That's actually you had my which way does it work? You first had my attention, now you have my interest. Being
Yeah.
able to flicker your solitudes, your furies, that's just amazing. That you can do that as early as I guess turn 2. Like, yeah, forget about Karuga's restrictions. We're getting like a fury or a solitude to play on turn 2. Oh man. Okay, so yeah, there goes the Memnite. Now once again, just equipment and technically Ink with Nexus. I would guess the Cigardas 8 still. I guess we're 1 month short of it being live, but that's the best out I can really present, assuming that Thomas doesn't have any kind of interaction here.
Yeah, it's gonna be
Yeah,
a little bit tricky here. Cigar Aid would definitely be good. I think even like a Stoneforge Mystic wouldn't be bad either to just like unlock the hand here. Esper Sentinel gonna come down instead. Not quite what we're looking for. As
yeah. If Thomas like knew that this was the card drawn for the turn, he would be very happy about that, right? You would feel like, oh yeah, you can draw these all you want. Right now, Thomas is even winning the beatdown. So, let's see. It's always like these somewhat weird scenarios where control is ahead, but not enough ahead to close the game. Never mind then. I guess now we're getting close to that point.
oh my goodness, did we just cast Karuga?
Dinosaur in the house.
Is it a dinosaur? I thought it was a hippo. I gotta check the rules text on this because I remember Spike posted like a meme video of like a clip from Madagascar featuring Karuga, and it's a dinosaur hippo. What? That is. Oh, we're both correct. Okay, what?
High five.
Where other?
Are there hippos on Madagascar?
Yeah, for sure.
Really?
No. I've watched like 2 of the movies, and there's definitely.
I watched 2 Twitter clips that clearly there are hippos in Madagascar. I mean, there might be. I'm not sure. I once worked with a girl who worked in Madagascar, and I guess she never mentioned. Yeah, but you wouldn't randomly bring it up. Okay, never mind.
Yeah. Oh yeah, here's like a hippo. No. Anyways, the Karuga. Okay, there's a Fury that takes care of any other threat in play. The Omnath going to attack. Piper draws 1 more card, and there's nothing left to be said about this. Game, as Thomas Loraas is going to win game 1, 4-color control here. We're in okay. What did I just walk into? We see Hayden Auterhoff on Izzet Phoenix, and looks like Skyler Warfield playing mono green here. This is one of the matchups in Pioneer right now, and the board state does not look very good here for the Izzet Phoenix side of things, but that was this is my initial attempt here, but there's 6 counters on this Ledger Shredder, which makes it a 7/9, and I feel like that's a pretty good thing to have.
This is one of the biggest Ledger Shredders I've ever seen. Like,
Yeah.
even Cavalier of Thorns, right? It has reach. I guess you could double block it or something if you wanted to, but it looks like it's just gonna, oh wow, we found the line. Double block.
Yeah.
Sweet. Call me a Pioneer expert now.
Cavalier of Thorns has one of many really good things about it, and that is that it's got a big booty. 5/6. It's a double blocking the Ledger Shredder. There also has reach, which helps get through all that evasion and things like that. And is this a temporal trespass now on the stack with an Arclight Phoenix? Okay, this is signs of flags going off here. Do we have some crazy sort of play that we can make here to pull ahead? It seems like the defenses are really good for the mono green side, though.
Yeah, Cavalier of Thorns is such a hard card to push through with Phoenix, especially when you're down on life. Like, we are getting to the point where even if like Hayden hit a bunch more Phoenixes, Skyler could maybe just crack back for lethal, right? And that's never the kind of position you want to be in if your creatures are smaller but faster. Uh, that's one of those situations where it's really hard to recover from, even if you draw additional cards. And I know you're one of the prophets of card advantage, but when all your cards don't really solve the problem, it doesn't matter how many of them you draw. But
No, don't say that to me. No, I refuse to believe what you have to say right here, Julian. Treasure Crew is going to come into play now. It's delving 7 cards here, most likely to draw 3. That's 1. That's 2. That's 3. What a beautiful thing to witness there. And
very
we'll
beautiful.
see if that helps at all. But the graveyard is quite light now. And do we have anything else after this? Is there a follow up? We have a turn in the bank, maybe, but it's not looking so great here, and I'm trying to see the intricacies of Skyler's list here. Is there anything crazy going on here? No, I think I see. Okay, we see the return of Lovestruck Beast. That's the adventure card in play right now, and I don't know if I see a 1/1 to pair alongside it. So it's not really on attacking duty, but the fact that I can just sit back and also block is not necessarily the worst thing. Or maybe this is maybe that wolf was a token for something else. Oh, maybe it was like from the Wolf Willow Haven.
Yeah, that could be it, I guess. I'm looking through Hayden's deck list right now, and I'm trying to like come up with something to completely turn the match around. And the only thing, I guess you could like chain another Temporal Trespass and get a bunch of Phoenix into play and attack twice. Maybe that would work. Other than that, burning out the opponent, not really an option. But you, yeah, okay. You have a one-off thing in the ice. If you manage to remove all of the counters, maybe that's gonna
Oof.
create like, okay, let's say here's my plan, Eric. We get thing in the ice down, we remove all the counters, and we cast another Temporal Trespass to take an extra turn. I think that would do it. But
Okay.
I know that's a tall order.
That's a very tall order. I know. I must overemphasize how tall of an order that is. Speaking of tall orders, here it is. Nykthos tapping for basically infinity bajillion mana. I know that if Mason and Devin were in the booth, they'd actually count it up because they're really good at that kind of thing. I am not. But that looks like another Cavalier of Thorns coming into play here, gumming up the board even more. And we've seen this stage of the game here. Oh, are we just
It's
announcing?
Karn, right?
That looks like a Karn the Great Creator to me. And we're probably explaining the infinite combo here with Nykthos in play right now. What we can do with the Kiora, untap the Nykthos, generate more bajillion D mana, then use Karn, tick down, get the Pestilent Cauldron from the sideboard, flip the backside, Restorative Burst, and we have an infinite combo featuring all of our cards and Planeswalkers and things like that. Or just like some sort of lethal threat in some capacity or the other. So Skyler, Warfield going to take the first game down here. We're going back to Modern to see what the developments are in this Hammer versus Karuga Control, this chunky deck. Let's see what the developments are like here as players are finally done shuffling up and they're ready to go.
Yeah, I'm looking at the sample
Frontier.
cards right now. What's some of the interesting stuff that could come in? Anyway, other than that doesn't work. I guess Sanctify and Reckless Protection from Red. That's not exactly exciting to me. That wouldn't really do that much. Yeah, not that many cards that I would see coming in for a hammer. But as we see, like, this is a really good start, right? Oh,
Yeah.
this is probably gonna put Kaldra complete in okay, now assuming that Stoneforge gets to live, we actually have to make a call next turn, right? Do we put Kaldra into play or do we just create a construct token? And I'm always very much on the side of, oh, dude, I just want to get maximum value out of the saga. Like, if
See,
you
that's the legacy player in you speaking, isn't it? I can sniff it from a mile away. Why? Because I'm the exact same. I what I've learned from watching Modern is that like my gut reaction is always go like make construct, but there's so much pressure that you need to apply with certain decks and the right type of pressure too, such that I think there's a real world where you just put the Cauldron into play and you just hope. And it obviously depends on the rest of your hand and how your game plan is going into this first post board game here. But I think either is justifiable. The real argument for taking it a little bit slower is that you expect the game to go a little bit longer by virtue of your opponent having lots of removal or just ways to clean the board up. And so then you want to go wide and really strain their removal. Because if you look at the first game that we watched earlier, there was a point where there was a wide board. There was a 2 copies of, the Urza Saga constructs, and then there was also an Inkmoth Nexus and an Esper Sentinel too. And the plan was to make you have to answer every single threat. Now that requires a lot of cards, and it's certainly tricky. We'll see how the game plays out.
Yeah, I can say I hate being on Thomas' side of the board in a situation like this, because in a way you want to get rid of the Stoneforge, but it always feels so bad to get rid of the Stoneforge, even though you know that you prevent the opponent from getting Caldra down anytime soon. But I don't know, it just feels bad to make that kind of draft, considering that we would be using something like a Solitude plus Pitch. Let's see what this is actually. I guess a Fire Ice could take it out. Okay, Dismember. Oh, that's a very expensive Dismember, right? That's like basically 7 life that we paid this turn, but between the fetch and the Phyrexian mana. Unless we had a black mana available somewhere, we might have. Oh my god, Force of Vigor. Is that Force of Vigor?
Yeah, it was. Force of
Yeah,
Vigor
that
on
was
the
a board.
upkeep here.
Yeah, all of a sudden, like our Azorius hammer deck looks like a Azorius control deck, and that's not where you want to be.
Oof. Now that was pretty resource intensive. There, Force of Vigor, Dismember, and Omnath. And I wonder.
Interestingly, when you get to a point where like you trade off resources very, very heavily, all of a sudden something like, you know, Stoneforge into Caldra Complete becomes a lot more attractive, as both players take a moment to recover. Meanwhile, Caldra is just like crashing in for 5 every single turn.
Yes, absolutely. I think now this backup Stoneforge Mystic is a very good draw here for Piper Powell, as it's going to give you a way to sort of turn on your entire hand, but then also the Cauldron Complete being the most important thing. Leyline Binding shows no mercy. So now that I have a better understanding of things, I think we actually paid black mana for that Dismember, so we didn't pay that much life for it. The Triomes, again, Julian, it's okay. I understand. Once you get to my level, you'll know every single land, every single time, and I'm really hoping they don't play another Triumph to make me like put my money where my mouth is. But Leyline Binding, most importantly, is going to get rid of the Stoneforge. And then there's a third Stoneforge Mystic, so it's just like Piper Powell asking all the right types of questions.
How does your deck work? Well, I cast this card. It's called Stoneforge Mystic. They deal with it. I cast another one. that's like all the primer says, right? I would guess so. Okay, so yeah, once again, we are back to the position that Thomas has found himself in like 3 times in a row now. Just facing down a Stoneforge Mystic that's about to activate, with Thomas fighting to keep it summoning sick. That's just like his entire goal in this matchup thus far. The only other card he would care about is Inkmoth Nexus. That's very far from ever doing something. I think we see a bunch of hammers in Piper's hand again, but those alone don't really do all that much. And yeah, Thomas is probably happy as long as he makes land drops. And yeah, okay, Omnath, sure.
Omnath is cool, but have you met my friend Hasty 5/5 trampling Cauldra Complete Germ Token? There it is, Stoneforge Mystic activating. Cauldra now into play. Bang! Living Weapon trigger, indestructible. And this card from Modern Horizons 2 has been great. I honestly feel like this card actually made Stoneforge Mystic like playable, much more playable again, especially in Legacy, but more so like here you can see in Modern, it's doing a lot of things after the banning of Loraas here, providing another angle of attack. Pretty good stuff here.
I wonder if we're going to see a Touch the Spirit Realm on the Germ token. That's just such a clean way to deal with the Caldra Complete.
Yeah. There's also a world where you could have used the Leyline Binding on the Cauldra artifact itself as opposed to the Stoneforge Mystics. But that's such a hard thing to sort of register or realize and even make the connection with, when there's who knows what other like artifacts might be in the hand that you don't want to come into play, right? Because like if you save it for the Cauldra, like there's still the hammers. I guess that doesn't even make sense though, because the hammers are cheaper than the Stoneforge activation costs. So
I guess the upside is you make the opponent tap 2 mana for the Stoneforge to put the Caldra into play, which would eat up maybe their entire turn, and as opposed to like proactively dealing with the Stoneforge, so their mana is free to do something else. As it played out here, the something else was just like another Stoneforge. And dude, here comes the dinosaur again. This our favorite. We learned. You know what? Maybe this one actually is from Madagascar. I'm gonna trust you very much on this. I'm gonna try to see whether I see any of those. Well, I'm gonna go to Kenya. We don't have dinosaur hippos. We just have straight up hippos. But I'm gonna take a picture for you.
Thank you, because I need to know. Wait, this is really interesting though. I never realized Karuga is a 5 mana spell and it's also a 5/4. Okay, that's kind of cool. And you also see the ability there when ETBs draw a card for each other permanent you control with CMC 3 or mana value 3 or greater. So that includes Omnath, that includes Karuga. Out here paying 5 mana for a divination. Respect the hustle. I like it.
I mean, it's basically Griselbrand, right? At this point, that's pretty close to it. From Piper's side, I mean, right now Thomas isn't really doing. Yeah, he drew extra cards, but Piper has so many cards in hand, even though most of them rely on other cards to make them work. Is that a what's it called?
Blacksmith skill.
The Yeah, exactly. That's the one I was looking
I
for.
love that card so much in this deck and in this matchup too. I think that is one of the key cards here. But the problem is, you can see here, Blacksmith skill give permanent target permanent gains hexproof and indestructible. And if it's an artifact creature, then you get +2/+2 as well. The problem is we're really bottlenecked on white mana. We don't have enough to, you can see there's a Pure Steel Paladin in the hand here for Piper, but we can't cast it. We have plenty of artifacts here to sort of um, keep our Metalcraft online, but not having a way to actually put the Pure Steel Paladin into play right now is kind of the bottleneck. I mean, that being said, we have Cauldron Complete already in play. It's turning sideways. It's going into the red zone. You can always be happy about that.
Yeah, and down to 7 life. I mean, Thomas is probably gonna have ways to gain life between a couple of fetch lands that I see in hand. Is that one of them? But 5, but basically 5 a turn guaranteed. That's just like such a real clock that you have to respect. And even in the long run, there's the potential to, just like get in for damage in the air. That's still pretty far away. But I I feel weird saying I don't hate Piper's position because right now Thomas has dealt with basically everything except for the Kaldra Complete. But yeah, Kaldra Complete, just like it hits like a truck. If you have a dinosaur, that's cool, but I have a Kaldra Complete.
No, I have a truck. I'll rot at your statement right now. Yeah, that's
Who would win between a dinosaur and a truck? We will never find out. Except by watching this game, I guess.
Yeah, you're witnessing magic history right now, everybody in the audience, as we determine from like canonically, like official, like this will go Wizards lore, hippos, trucks, Cauldron Complete, who's better,
I mean, that's the new universes beyond, right? Trucks, just like straight up cars and magic. We're gonna get some car company sponsorship.
Hello,
I mean, there's so much, there's so much potential to have that. Like, I don't know, I don't want to like advertise a single one of them right now, but I mean, if we, I don't know, from the vault or whatever they call it these days,
what
this
from the
car,
Vault
that
Truck
car,
Edition?
yeah. You could get a lot of people. Okay, never mind. I don't want to give them ideas right now.
All right, so we're debating on attacks here, right? Omnath and Karuga both in play here. The Cauldron asking a lot of tricky questions. And the scary thing too is that like you really do need to have a plan here, because I'm sure, Thomas sitting in the 4-0 seat, partnered with Dominick, Paolercio, and Hayden Auterhoff, must be wondering, all right, like let's say there is another white land that comes into play next turn. Pure Steel Paladin also comes into play as well. What is our plan for maybe like the Inkmoth Nexus getting animated and being equipped with a bunch of Colossus Hammers and a Shadow Spear? Like, we need to have something for that. So a lot of questions being asked here by Piper. So you know what? Originally, my thought process was Piper pretty, not, I wouldn't say like super ahead, but maybe a little behind even. And it seems like I'm just completely wrong here. Now I want to say that Piper is actually in the driver's seat here, asking the questions with the Cauldra, asking the questions with potential threats in Inkmoth Nexus and Pure Steel Paladin. So from what did not seem like the greatest start, we actually have a pretty complicated board state with.
Yeah, it's also going to be interesting because both players have a lot of potential for life gain, which is not something you hear in competitive Magic all that often. But I feel like, especially over the last couple of years, we talked about it in earlier rounds, life gain has become a lot more respectable in competitive circuses. Circus.
It's competitive circusing. Yes, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm not going to ridicule it because it probably exists, and I'm about that. And okay, wait. This is a sweet interaction here. So you see 2 mana to equip the Shadow Spear. Here comes Otawara, reduced by 2 because we have 2 legends. But there it is, the blacksmith skill giving protection. Or sorry, wait, actually. Hexproof, sorry, hexproof. And hexproof does work against the colorless aspect of Otawara, but also indestructible. And so now, is this just a blowout?
9+2+2. So how big is this going to be? This is going to be like
Big.
8
I don't
altogether.
know. I counted to 2 earlier today. You've capped me. I'm capped out. Can't go further.
Big problem though. I think isn't there a Fire Ice in Thomas's hand? So Thomas could just like literally just tap down the token and be like, sure, all of that resolves. Any attacks? No? Okay, my turn.
That is true. I mean, but I guess the token being tapped is certainly better than it being bounced and gone forever, though. So
yeah, but there's a world where Thomas just cracks back for the win. Then Piper's down to 9. There's a lot of damage on Thomas' side. Like Piper has to be nervous if this life gain doesn't work out this turn. There's a world where Thomas especially if he's able to remove the Stoneforge, just takes the game. What we were seeing. Okay, we're paying 2 mana here.
Okay,
All of that resolves.
It is tapped anyways, and I like doing this right now in response before Hexproof actually kicks in. And Stoneforge sitting back to block here is not a bad sign. But if Piper is at 9 and Thomas has a removal spell for the Stoneforge Mystic, I mean, by my math, 5 power from the Karuga, 4 power from the Omnath. That is a lethal attack there. So is there a removal spell? About to find out.
Yeah, there could be a whole lot of different removal spells, I guess. Fury, I guess not Solitude, because that would leave Piper at 1 life.
I mean, we're shocking for this stomping ground, so that means we definitely have spells we want to be casting, and that is not a good sign if you're on the other side.
You know, that's so scary, right? Your opponent has all the mana in the world, and then they crack and they still pay for, and it's just like, yeah, I guess at that point you pack it in.
Yeah.
Exactly 9 damage. Yeah.
All right, so Skyler Warfield up the match in Pioneer. Thomas Loraas up the match in Modern. That means that we're 1-1. We're going to the final match, the deciding game. And what a game to walk into here. 8 cast on the left, Delver on the right. And that's a Chalice of the Void in play on what appears to be turn 2. But no lands? Ooh.
This is such a common way the matchup plays out. I played a little bit of 8cast myself over the last 1-2 months, and from what I've seen, I think this might actually be pretty similar to the list that your former roommate Bob Wang actually put forward, where he was saying, you know what, this deck is too top heavy. We have to cut a little bit of the top and strengthen the early game to have more like Mox Opal mana and stuff available. And a lot of times when I played the deck, this is exactly what played out. Derva would have the early threat. They would even actively let the Chalice on 1 resolve. And then, you know, just like try to get there with the Delver, gets there eventually with something like either Ledger Shredder or Murktide Regent, and keep the Force of Will that they might have even had for the Chalice back. Usually it only happens when you present a little bit more of a threat, but what I'm basically trying to say is Delver, Chalice on 1, really good against Delver, but you can often still steal the game, especially against Ancient Tomb decks who might rely on their life total. And right now, Shea is definitely struggling for mana.
Yeah, now check this out. There's a Murktide Regent on the stack here. That's going to get Force Pitching, Force Negation. But Dom says, wait a minute. No, I would kindly like my Dragon here. Force Pitching, Expressive Iteration to fight back. The Dragon does resolve. Delver comes in for 3, punching Shea all the way down to, I believe, 12 now. We'll get the life totals updated in just a second here. But do we have another land?
I'm almost willing to call this one. Like, Dominick is going to untap with at least 7 points of damage on the board, while Shea is out of cards to do something, and it's not like the best you can get of the Saga next turn is something like an Ether Spellbomb, but then you still need like blue to bounce one of the creatures, and Shea doesn't even have that. Like, this is almost over at this point, unfortunately for Shea. Of course, the Force of Will not going to help us, and I guess we're almost about to pack it in here.
Wow, wait a minute. This might be the most tragic thing I've seen in a while. Is that the Aether Spellbomb in the hand for Shea? Not even able to tutor it up off of the Urza Saga here, because it can't cast it either because there's a Chalice on 1 in play. Aether Spellbomb certainly would stabilize the board, but it seems that we are extremely unlucky with this set of draws. Force of Will also just like not where you want to be in this matchup. There it is. There's the fist bump. Dominick Paolercio wins the match 2-1, and that is a win for his team. Congratulations. So they're going to move on to 5-0. They're going to be the first team to qualify, or assuming the IDs work out the way they do, to qualify for the top 8 of this event, which is a great position to be in here. We're going to get Dominick's team in the booth pretty soon. But wow, we watched a lot of pretty crazy games here. I feel like the one for me, the highlight for me was the Hammer matchup, where it really did feel like Piper was doing really well and in a good position to win until the very end, where like, I don't know, there was just like a sudden like flurry of removal spells. The ice tapping down the Cauldron came in clutch. That was a really cool kind of tempo play to win the race. And then also the what was it too? The Otawara as well. That was a nice one to have. And I like that. I think here's what I will say. I'm sold on Karuga. I'm sold that it's good. I didn't think about this earlier, but it draws a card, I believe, for itself. It draws a card for the Omnath. And even like if you have like Leyline Binding in play, like it'll also draw a card for that on the ETB. So Welcome to the future. Meet your new overlords. We're in a world of hippos now. Dinosaur hippos also.
Dinosaur. I was gonna say, Anorak, there's actually a dinosaur deck in Legacy waiting for you to play. You've seen that mono black rotting Registrar deck? That's exactly the kind of deck I associate with you, right? That's like mono black beatdown, Helm combo, what have you, big dinosaurs. But yeah, that deck was impressive. I was gonna say like I wasn't super impressed with it when I saw the deck list, but yeah, this it worked. And I mean, that's the best you can say about that deck, I guess. So yeah, still a lot of respect for Hammer, but this deck worked out much better than I expected it to be.
All right. Well, it looks like the players are ready. Let's cut to the player interview here because I want to ask questions. Hey, Dom, how's it going? Ash, how's it going as well?
Oh, living the dream.
Oh, very good. 5-0. That means you two most likely can double draw into the top 8 here, which is always a great position to be in. Very nice. I like that. I like that. All right, so let's start. We watched a lot of the modern match, so Ash, maybe we can start with you.
Of course.
Talk to me about this deck that you're playing. I mean, is the Dinosaur Hippo Karuga, is it the truth? Is it the future of modern?
I believe it to be the truth. When Yorion got banned, I had nothing to play in my local meta, but I still loved casting Risen Reef, and I was familiar with those play patterns. And Respect the Cat on Twitter brewed this deck, and he's been working on it for a while. I found a list that I liked and rolled with it, and here we are.
Yeah, that's pretty powerful stuff too. I mean, like the core of the deck is fundamentally all the same, right? You still have your elementals, you still have your Omnath and Teferi and things like that. You just have to diversify your removal spell. What's it like not playing with Prismatic Ending anymore? Do you feel like you're at a lack of removal spells?
Not really. I'll be honest, this is like my first time playing with like Fire and Ice, and that card has impressed me a lot in this deck. Just being able to, like, as you saw, interact with the board a lot more in my game 1. Leyline Binding is still really easily triggerable, so I don't really feel as though I'm missing Prismatic Ending. Ren sometimes, because Omnath triggers go burr, but it's okay. I'm drawing like a bunch off Karuga, and it just feels better than Yorion because I do get the cards in hand every time.
Gotcha. Yeah. Has anything in particular with this list, has anything overperformed, or do you think it's mostly the same and like you should expect yeah, I mean, like let me put it this way rather. Okay, Yorion probably more powerful because no one was playing Karuga before, but how does this compare like power level wise? Like how much do you feel like you've actually lost out on now?
I mean, you lose a lot more on the consistency because obviously Ren and Prismatic Ending are powerful and they were played alongside it. But however, I've noticed a lot more consistency with Risen Reef in the deck, and a lot more of the broken elemental draws that I did love from the 4-color elementals list. I don't know, I just really enjoy the deck, and I feel as though it's like I feel like it's one of the top tier decks in the meta that just doesn't get a lot of respect because of the Dinosaur Hippo. People just see that as like a B tier, C tier companion for a while. But I think the most I've drawn a 6 today off of it. I've drawn 4 pretty consistently. As you saw with like Leyline Binding, it's really easy to put big permanents into play very quickly and still ramp out and curve into Karuga.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. There's one card that we saw a couple times, which was Touch the Spirit Realm. Has that one been pretty good for you?
Oh my god, I love that card. That card, you saw that. You saw that token just get out of there. It touched the Spirit Realm and it touched it a little too close.
Flew a little bit too close to the Spirit Realm. That card was exciting. That was absolute gas. Like I love how the deck is entirely constructed right around to making Karuga work, and I was quite critical, but when I saw it in action, like this deck is amazing, and not only because of Dinosaur Hippos, which, by the way, Anorak, I looked it up. There are no more hippos on Madagascar. They went extinct 500 years ago.
Pray to the hippos. No. Pray to the hippos.
Yes.
Oh goodness! All right, well, that's news to me. Dom, let's switch gears a little bit. Legacy, you won 2-1. You're playing Izzet Delver against Mono Blue 8 cast. Talk to me about that matchup. How confident did you feel going into it?
That matchup feels very play draw dependent. Most important card is always going to be Chalice of the Void. Game 1, I got Chalice of the Voided, and it was a little, and I ended up winning anyway. Like a lot of times, sometimes if you get your Delver underneath of it, and like a Murktide region can end up cleaning house, which is what happened in my game 3. A turn 1 Delver, Shea plays a turn 1 Chalice, and I just played a couple Wastelands and a Murktide, and it ended up closing the door. Very happy with playing as Delver this weekend. I played Mono Red Prison a few weeks ago at the last team NRG, and Delver's real good. makes you feel good when you come back to Delver.
Heard it here first.
Yeah, no one's been saying this before.
Any other exciting matchups you've played today that you that come to the top of your head as you are now 5-0, right? So you get a little bit of a break here. What's been good for you so far?
So I'm 5-0. I've beaten Nia Depths a couple times. I think that matchup is Nia Depths one of those decks where I think people think they're good against Delver, but you have the one of Brazen Barber for the bad matchup. So I feel like that matchup has swung a lot recently. I played
Honestly,
against the 80 card like basic lands Yorion deck. That matchup's normally pretty rough, but got there in that game too. So
that's a real brand out there that somebody could create, like #good against Server, because I feel like that's one of the most quoted things that people tell you. Oh, my deck is good against Server, and usually what they mean by that is, oh yeah, it has like a 45% matchup. It's like I don't get oh, okay, sweet. I don't know like how it works for Nia Depths. I'm not too deep into that matchup. I'm gonna take your word for that, but yeah, that's one of the most quoted things in Legacy ever, right? I'm good against Server. Yeah, turns out still better to be Diver in the first place.
Yep. Oh, everything comes back to Delver. It feels like every time I play a different deck in Legacy, I just circle back here.
Well, awesome. I do appreciate it. I have one last question for you two today, and it's a little bit of a pointed question, and I'm hoping you guys give me why are you two going to win the whole event today? Talk to me.
Of course. I mean, no splits, kill them all. We're winning the event. Yep.
I came here from Edmonton, Alberta, Canada to deny Americans their RC invite.
Yeah.
And
our third teammate Otter, who's right behind the camera, also came from Canada. A lot of traveling this week. We gotta take it home.
The Dream Crushers. I absolutely love it. Well, I'm wishing you all the best of luck here as one of our first teams that is going to likely be able to double draw into the top 8 here. Thank you too much for joining us, and best of luck in the event here. We'll cut back to the booth pretty shortly as we are wrapping up our time in the booth here. Myself and Julian are going to be heading out. I do want to say a little bit first, if you haven't already, please do hit the follow button. We'll take a look at a couple quick slides here as we do need to rotate casters out pretty soon here. But I do want to remind you all that we do have a couple upcoming events here. We're at the end of the month. We have an event coming in Mundelein, Chicago. That's going to be our $10,000 Pioneer Trial, which is going to be pretty awesome. On Sunday, we have a Modern 5K as well. These will contribute points to the overall race for Season 3 and at large. But then in December, we also have the Showdown, the 20K Showdown. That's a $15,000 Modern main event with the Pioneer 5,000 Trial on Sunday. That's the second week of December. The winner of the Showdown will queue for the end of year championship. That's going to be pretty incredible. And then finally, let's take a look at our qualified players for the end of year yearly event rather. And so here you can see 9 players, of which at the end of December, or the December event, we'll have crowned at least 3 more players. In fact, I think at the end of the December event, we'll have all of our players, our entire roster filled out here. So if you are looking to play in this event at the start of, I guess, next year, like the winter 2023 season, there's a $20,000 16-person event. Show up in the December Showdown, and if you win first place, you could be on this graphic. That's pretty sweet here. All right. Well, taking it back to the booth here, I think this is our cue to sign off. We have a couple minutes left in the round, and we're going to bring you some wonderful coverage, some wonderful commentary by a couple other star-studded Magic players. That's Devin O'Donnell, aka the Doomwake, and then you have the Mason Clark as well. 6'2" and fantastic, honestly. I'll just say that much, right? So thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in, hanging out, and we will catch you next time. Zonarog Das, Julian Knob signing out.
See you. Bye-bye.